Title MMA's got you covered with everything you need to get into MMA like a pro. MMA masters Duke Rufus and Red Shaper take you through the basics of MMA to get you inside the sport and show you what you really need to know. But you'll also get inside secrets and techniques that can only be mastered from years in the cage. Now you can learn from the best and get ready to give it your all with top quality Title MMA products like these. Title's freestyle throwing and grappling dummy, made of incredibly durable triple-ply synthetic leather that'll stand up to all the punches, kicks, jabs, takedowns, chokeholds, and ground pounding you can give it, and still come back for more. Professional Thai pads and Twins Muay Thai pads for serious competitors. Imported from Thailand, these rugged, all-leather, overstuffed pads give you the target you need to develop powerful kicking skills. The Grappling Dummy Heavy Bag, the ultimate 2-in-1 training bag, combining the realistic human form with a durable heavy pad. Give it jabs, straight shots, angle punches, hooks, uppercuts, and more to take your training to the next level. The Twins MMA Thai Shield, handcrafted in Thailand. Super shock-absorbing layered cell foam welcomes every offensive blow and strike and begs for more. Perfect for MMA, Muay Thai, and combat training. Title leather 12 and 16-pound medicine balls. Great for explosive training and endurance training. Title super plastic speed ropes. Super lightweight, but ball-bearing fast. Top quality leather headgear from Title Boxing, Title MMA, and Twins offer you the most protection in your training routine. Title MMA Gel Pro Shin Instep Guards feature our exclusive gel-enforced lining for even greater protection and form fit. Double padding where you need it most. Twins Open Palm Wrist Strap Gloves, designed for training and competition. A full half-inch of padding over knuckles, fingers, and back of the wrist for uninhibited attack. Full leather construction with elastic thumb loop for excellent freedom of movement and security. Title Platinum Body Protector, perfect for working on body shots and lower body techniques. Use in conjunction with punch mitts to simulate actual sparring. The special layered cell foam really takes a pounding. All these and more Title MMA products will have you looking, feeling, and fighting like the warrior you need to be. Let Duke and Red teach you the tricks of the trade that'll have you winning fights in no time. Bigger, better, faster, and stronger with Title MMA. Check out these products and more at TitleMMA.com. Do it now.
It's what we've been waiting for the whole time on every one of these DVDs. It's fight night. And fight night can either be awesome and great or it can be chaotic. It all comes down to the preparation of not the athlete, but the coach. The coach is very important in a fighter's success. Now, Title has this great invention. I love it. It's called the Fighter's Training Kit. You got the whole training kit, everything you need in there. If they don't have it in there, you don't need it. You've got your tape, your gauze, your Q-tips for the cuts, the cut solutions, your Vaseline, your scissors, etc., your ice packs, everything you're going to need, you get it all in one kit. This is very important as well. Some of the bigger shows provide gloves, but most of the MMA fights, you need your own MMA gloves. You got to bring your MMA gloves. Make sure you bring some punch mitts, Title Thai pads, Title Shield, Title gauze. The gauze protect the hand. I don't care if you're a grappler wrestler and you say you're not going to punch, you got to wrap your hands because you know what? You're going to punch when you ground and pound someone, so you don't want to break your hands. Very important is having all this equipment and making sure that you're ready to go to war.
Yeah, especially if you're a fighter, you're worried about other things. You have a fight, you're warming up, you got other things to worry about. The last thing you want to do is worry about, oh shoot, we forgot tape, we forgot this, and then you're running around looking for this with your cornerman. Well, you should be just sitting in there, warming up, mentally getting ready. That's when you have a good cornerman and a good coach. When they're responsible, you're in such a narrow-minded mood that's the last thing you want to worry about is forgetting your gloves, forgetting your gear. I mean, not only that, it's good when you have the trust of a good guy who can, wrap hands. Nothing worse than, your cornermen don't know what they're doing, and you got to go, go ask the next coach or go do something else. Make sure you have a great coach, knows how to wrap hands, knows how to use the cornerman gear. Nothing worse than having that inexperience, because that's going to reflect on the fighter, because he's going to get nervous. When the cornerman and the coaches aren't, confident, the fighter is going to feel it in the fight.
Definitely. I mean, having all this gear, make a checklist, get there early. Early is the best. You can fail the plan. The plan can't fail you. Get there early. Speaking of that, let's talk about arrival time. I see guys show up all the time and they're not ready to fight, and they come up to me, oh, what happened? Why did I get whooped? Well, you shouldn't have got here a half hour before your fight. You should get early to the arena. Early the better. Get a feel for the place. If you've never really fought in a cage, get there extra special. Get in the cage. Move around. Definitely the ropes or the cage. Bounce off the ropes. Bounce off the cage. Feel if the mat's slow, if it's fast. Feel if there's any weirdness. Each cage or ring is different no matter what people say. Get in there. The logo's slick. Very important. And definitely cages. They're different shapes for different organizations. Getting there earlier gets your mindset into the fight. Like I said, the earlier you can get your hands taped, the ready you are to go to battle. In my experience as a fighter, I thought of it like Gladiator. Once I got my hands taped, it was like when Maximus reached on the dirt. I knew my hands are taped. There's no turning back here, and my mindset changed, and I was ready to go to war. So that's the best thing you can do. Early is better.
Yeah, go to the ring, go to the octagon, go wherever you're going to fight. Get that anxiety out of you. You don't want to see the ring the first time as you're walking out. When I have a UFC fight, I like to go to the octagon just to see all the, the seats open. Like, you got to realize that you're going to be in front of all these people. So you do it once, it's actually, next time you go out, you're going to be calmer. I know there's going to be more people, but you got that feeling. You were already in the ring. You already did a little bit of a walkout. Getting used to that, conditioning yourself to walk out is part of it. So you got to get there early and get this stuff done.
Definitely. The better prepared you are, it helps your adrenaline deal with the whole different environment that you've had. In your gym, it's you and your training partners. I don't care if there's only 100 people at a fight. There's still 100 people watching you, and you've got to be prepared. If you have wild anxiety because you weren't prepared for this, you're going to go out there and get yourself hurt. You've got to be prepared to go to battle. It is D-Day now, and it's time to storm that beach. It's the moment of truth. This is the no turning back point in the locker room. You're getting your hands taped. You're getting in the cage or ring to scrap someone. It's on like Donkey Kong, and this is where the emotions are going, and you're going to get after it. So the key while you're taping these hands, keep your athlete relaxed. Don't have them be too tense, otherwise you're not going to get a good tape job. The other thing to remember, it's MMA. They're a different type of glove. As much as you want to protect the hand, you can't build the cast on their hand where it's too big. And understand the rules of every organization out there. The unified rules of mixed martial arts and boxing. Make sure the one rule you got to remember right away: no tape across the knuckles. That's a no-no. You can't put tape across the knuckles. So I'm going to walk you through some of the steps. What I like to do, we get the hand, get something under his hand to support it. Sometimes people use towels. I like to use a punch mat. Get something a little bit higher. Even the back of a folding chair will work. Turn two folding chairs towards one another. What I like to do is loosen him up. Shake his fingers out. Get his hand nice and loose. He's staying relaxed. Want to get these hands relaxed. Get the wrist relaxed as much as possible. He's going to be real tense before the fight. So I reach into my box of handy dandy title gauze. So real important with the gauze. And this is a must for all fighters. You need to have this. I don't care if you're going to do only a little striking on the ground. You got to have this. And it's going to help support your hands when you do get hit as well with kicks. So the first thing I like to do, I take the roll. I start wrapping it lightly. Spread my fingers around my fingers. So why am I wrapping my hands, you're asking? Well, I'm not wrapping my hands. I'm creating a little bit of a pad in the knuckles here. I put a little bit of a pad, and it's all personal preference. Especially sometimes fighters come into fights with their hands very injured. I've got very bad hands, so I use a big pad on my knuckles so I don't re-break my hands. So it's personal preference. You cut it or rip it anywhere you want. You can use your scissors. I'm not a scissors type of guy. I like to rip. So we take the pad, build it nice and easy, and we set that off to the side. Now we take our other gauze roll here and we start gauzing his hand. Again, what the fighter's responsibility to do is, once we get going, is to keep his hand spread as wide as he can. If you don't, you're gonna gauze your hand, and it's gonna be really tight where you're bending your knuckles and hurt yourself. So sometimes Red and I right here would be talking about the fight a little bit, maybe even joking, depending on the atmosphere. Just keep it loose. That's the main thing in the locker room. Don't mean mug each other the whole time. You're going to waste energy. It only counts in the fight. So stay relaxed, stay focused, especially newer fighters. Now, what I start doing is building the support on the wrist. The support on the wrist is very important. So I get the wrist, I go around different times. Every athlete I tape a little differently. I try and tape to their needs and wants. Some guy's got a bad wrist, so I'm really going to put a lot of gauze on his wrist. Some guy's got a bad thumb. I build the thumb up a little bit more. From here, after I've built the support on the wrist, I crisscross under to the thumb, come back around the wrist again, back around the thumb again. It depends on what he needs for support. He's not a big support on the thumb, so I went around one way each way. From here, I get back around the wrist and the thumb, and I swing back up. He spreads the hands real good. We start building some support on the hands across here. We go across the knuckles a few times, and we start figure eighting a little bit the opposite way. Really, the figure eight here really helps the wrist support when we're hitting. So I take figure eight, again, keeping the hand very spread, and don't pull the gauze too tight, but it's snug. As we've built up the support across and with the figure eight design, this is where the pad comes into play. I take half the pad here, I put it down. From here, the pad goes down. Now, a little trick I like to do, I take this and flip it. When I twist it, it's going to cinch this pad down a little bit easier. So I twist the gauze when I come back around, and I turn the pad back over. From here, I bring the gauze back through, twist again to cinch it down. There we have a little extra padding on the knuckles. As everybody knows in MMA, those gloves aren't too big. So this helps just a little bit more buffer on the knuckles. It doesn't make the padding too big, but it helps just for the hand so that no one is getting hurt. Support it again, coming across, a little twist to cinch down the gauze. And again, coming across right here and coming through. As we get going, he's going to feel a little bit more support. Again, don't just stack the gauze up to stack the gauze up. Now as we get going, I take the gauze, administer gauze on the wrist, and again I've got support across, coming across the wrist and the thumb. What I like to do now, this is a little trick, I come back over the knuckles, but I unravel the gauze. Okay, from here I flip his hand over and I actually twine the gauze into his hand here. He's a grappler, so he wants to have his palm open. In MMA, you don't want a lot of gauze in your palm. Even when I was a Muay Thai fighter, it's easier to clinch. My trainer in Thailand, this is the way he taught me how to tape hands. This is old school Muay Thai. But you take and you make a grab bar with this gauze. You take the gauze here and you twine up. You'll see I'm tightening the gauze up so that I can make it smaller and smaller of a grab area. See, I'm shrinking his palm up when I twine this gauze in here. And with gauze and tape, it takes practice. Especially the hardest thing for me is every guy on my team has a different hand, so they're going to have different needs. But the more you do it, the better you're going to get. You just got to practice it. Even if you are not so good at it, practice doing it before practice. Something we do in training camp a few weeks before the fight when we're going to spar heavy, I'll tape his hands or any of the other guys who got a big fight. They really like to get used to it. Again, it's like any other sport we play, football. You want to get used to it. Like I said, I like twining the hand through. It makes it super small for him. Some trainers just use the tape to pull it back. I like this. It really shrinks it up. So now we cut out the extra pieces. We get the 1-inch tape. I like the smaller tape. So this is where we start administering the support on the hands. Again, it's not the hugest wrap because it's going to fit inside an MMA glove. What I want to do with the first layer, I get the tape nice and loose. I lay it down on the wrist. I shoot his arm a little forward past the chair now, and I just lay the tape down. I'm not tightening it yet. Just laying the tape down because I'm going to use this to support. I try and neatly press the tape down, nice and easy. From here, I take and support his thumb now. So I bring the tape around on the gauze, back around under, back around on the thumb, and from here I come back to the top of the wrist. Here, I said I'm a ripper, so I like to rip tape. It's my nervous habit before a fight. I hate scissors. So the only time I like to use the scissors is when we've knocked someone out or tapped them out or won, or sometimes we got to use them when we lose. But I like to rip. So you tighten this tape up from here now. What you're going to do, simple, is you take the tape, you guesstimate how long this strip is going to hook in between his fingers to the back of his wrist. You take the strap, I flip the hand over. From here, I feed the tape under this little bar, and I hook it on to the bar under. I feed the tape under so they meet each other and they connect. From here, I take his hand, flip it over. I make a good tight fist. From here, with this, I take the tape and I press in between the fingers. What it does is compact the pad a little bit more, and it really feels good for striking when you start doing this. So again, I take and rip that tape, the extra, right off, but tape it down, and you can see how it pulls the support here in between the knuckles. I pulled it through. So now that's one strap, I estimate, and pull the tape. You do it for all 3 finger openings in between the fingers. So again, I hook under, it meets the other side of the tape, squeeze the tape together so it goes in between his fingers easy. He turns the hand over, good tight fist. We press the pad down and I crisscross the tape a little bit. It takes good support here, and I fasten the tape to the back of his wrist. Again, you'll see this compacts the pad. It makes it firm, tight. The compact pad is going to protect his knuckles a little better here. So then I take the third strap and lay it down. Mind you, this is my basic tape job. I actually have about 5 or 6 other ways to tape hands. I think this is the easiest way to do it when you first start. I take and do the administering under the finger again, squeeze it, flip his hand over. So again, really pull tight, crissing and crossing for extra support, so you can see that the pad is there, but it's nice and tight and compact. I take and get the tape down. Now, what I do here, we do one around just to hold those strips in place. And again, not too hard. Now, what I do, I estimate the width of the back of his hand. What I do is start taking strips, and I just build a little support here on the gauze for a while. So I do not put tape across the knuckles, So that's the key. You got to have the tape behind the knuckles, and you start just putting some extra strips here. This helps put a little extra support on the back of the hand, build up the tape a little more, make it a little stronger. Like I said, the layer of tape is really going to help build the strength of the wrap. So I like to use as much tape as they'll let me because it's going to protect your hand. Unfortunately, God did not make our hands to punch people's heads as much as we'd like them to. I'm living proof if you've ever seen my hand. So I really try and focus on protecting an athlete's hands. It'll help his career the whole time. The better protect your hands, the longer you're going to stay in this career healthy. Again, I build up some of the straps back here, pack the tape down, really get a solid base. Now, here's the important part. This is where we build up the wrap. So we want to start getting some of the strength in the wrap. So what I do is I start on the back of the wrist here, and I come back up. He spreads his fingers good, around. I try and catch the bar. This is where it gets technical. I catch the bar with the tape, come back around, and I start figure eighting there, and that's the key. That's why I wanted to make that bar real small so that we could apply tape to it. So again, I come back around on the bar. I don't want to put the tape in the palm. Come back over with the hand, and I feel that strength. Do you feel that, Red? Now I start asking him, can I go harder? Can I get it softer? You don't want to go with too much pressure. It's going to tighten his hand up. So can I apply a little bit stronger? As I've come around a few times, it's all personal preference. As I pull, now I come across the back of the knuckles. Tighten your fist. Now I squeeze down and I really make it strong there. Open. There we go. Close. And he squeezes it to make that pad strong. Open. And from here I come back around and I clean up the back of the hand. This is where I start laying the tape down neatly and evenly and firmly. Just making it nice and clean. Right down the back of the wrist. I'm always laying the tape evenly. Now I firm up his wrist a little bit more. Pull it tight, and he'll tell me if it's too tight. Rip, tighten, and nice and easy because you're going to be warming up for a while before the fight. You might not have your gloves on. What you got to do, take this tape, any bubbles you see in it, watch what I'm doing. I'm rubbing it so it doesn't come undone. I take and squeeze the tape down so it applies. The worst thing you want, you've been warming up, all of a sudden this wad of gauze and tape comes up. So see, I rub the tape down real good, and that makes a cast. Now the next thing I do, I take my fingers, hook them right here. What I do, take this bar and I compact it as much as possible by tucking the tape under. See, I've shrank the bar up. It makes it very easy. See how small that palm is. Now one other thing I'm going to do, we just cut this one support out of here, one support out of there, and see, this is a good wrap now for a striker or a grappler. His palm's exposed. He's going to have an easy time getting this in the glove. So again, I roll it over, make sure it's padded, check it, and that's the key. And that's our simple MMA wrap. All right, we've taped those hands. The next step, we're getting ready. Like I said, there's no turning back. It's time to enter the Coliseum. Next thing we do, we glove up our fighter. So what we do, when you're gloving up, the best way you're going to have the gauze on is point the glove down, hold by the heel of the glove. Don't point anywhere else because he might get hurt pushing it. The most efficient way to put the glove on is down. If you do, here's a little trade secret. If this wrap is too big and you're having a hard time getting the gauze into the glove, put Vaseline on the back of the wrap. That's perfectly legal. The wrap and the handle slide into the glove. So we get our athlete gloved up and we push, get nice and easy. The sooner you get these gloves on, the better, and they get a good feel for the gloves. So you don't want the gloves to the wrap feeling awkward. So the longer you have your gloves and wraps on, the better.
Remember too, certain athletic commissions need you to get your gloves signed and your wrap signed. So the sooner you do that, the less you have to worry about doing that. Nothing worse than a last minute going to get your hands wrapped signed and your gloves signed. So get that done as soon as you can. Less stress on the fighter.
Definitely get that done. Now, once we do that, we tape over all the gloves, the wrist area, the Velcro, get it all going. Now, we're going to warm up for the fight. The key with the warm-up is I'm not going to give him some crazy thing that he's never done before. And every fighter's different. Some guys, they hit the pads for a second and they're awesome. Some guys like to do a fight before the fight. So the key is the first thing you do, we put them through a simple stretching routine. And then we start shadow boxing, shadow grappling, I like to call it. We get on the ground, moving around. One of the main things too, it's MMA. We might want to pummel standing, use our pummel to warm up, get going, get our pummel going. That'll be part of our warm up. Another part of our warm up is some light grappling specific. Maybe we wanted to work an offense on a move or a defensive move against our opponent. Then the next thing, working the shadow boxing. Very important tools in the warm up. If you're working the kicks and knees, you want your title shield. Or if you're going to work your boxing, get your title mitts and as well working our title tie pads. You got to bring the equipment to warm up because you want him to strike these pads with the intensity and the reality that he's going to in the fight. Like I said, warming up is a personal preference. Some guys warm up a lot, some guys warm up a little. I'm a big fan of breaking a very good sweat before you go out there. The bigger the sweat you break, your adrenaline's going, and when you get in there, you're going to be nice and warm, ready to rock. You don't want to go out there cold, and it's going to mess you up.
Yeah, too. Plus, when you're warming up, don't get warmed up 2-3 hours before your fight. It's pretty much useless. You're going to cool down, and part of that's having good cornermen that have they're going to go ask the fight guys, is the fight coming up? Make sure they get the times ready. Hey, Red, you're up in an hour. We better get warming up fast. So it's their job to go run and do all that stuff. As a fighter, you're kind of calm. You're just thinking, mentally getting ready. It's not your job to go worry about when you start warming up. It's a coach and the cornerman's job. So don't let the fighter sit around stressed out about that stuff. And of course, keep a good, after you warm up, put a sweatshirt on, sweatpants, something to stay warm. So once you're warmed up, keep that sweat going. If you go out to the fight dry, you're not warmed up, you're not ready to fight.
Definitely. The cornermen and the trainers, managers, their job is to get the timing down. They want to communicate with the promoter of the event to understand when you're supposed to report to the ring or cage or when they're going to come get you. So timing is everything, like Red said. You got to get the timing down so that you prepare correctly. We could show you how to hit tie pads. We did that in other. We showed you how to kick the shield, the mitts, but we want to give you the mental aspect because that's basically once you've gotten to this point, we're in the locker room. You're not going to get any better. What you're going to do is get better prepared for the fight. You can't sit there and work all these crazy new techniques, or if you don't have it now, you're never going to have it. The key is getting warmed up at the right time, stretch, make sure you apply it. Some shows you get to apply the Vaseline yourself. Some athletic commissions, they apply the Vaseline for you. Make sure you're hydrating yourself the whole time. That's key. Just don't sit by yourself and shake nervously before the fight. Make sure that you're drinking. If you're required to get to the locker room a little bit earlier, bring something to snack on, a power bar, Cliff Bar, or something that's carbohydrate based that's going to help you perform. Some bananas possibly too.
And then mentally, physically we're getting ready. Part of your cornerman job and as a fighter is to be focused, all right? And that's another thing, fighter preference. Some fighters need to be pumped up. Some fighters need to be calmed down. Know your fighter. As a fighter, tell your coaches, be like, Coach, I'm really nervous. That's his job to calm you down. Coach, I'm really not pumped up. It's his job to get you up. Communicate, keep him confident, talk positive, reinforce. You did all the training already, you're ready to go, training camp was good, you're healthy. Keep the positive thoughts in the fighter's mind and you'll perform better.
That's definitely the unique thing about this sport. Everyone's different. Some fighters like to be screamed at and slapped around a little in the locker room, and some guys are pretty mellow. So that's what you have to understand as a coach. It's not a cookie cutter system. Each athlete is an individual, and you have to coach them as such. All right, now we're going to work on some basics for working the corner. One of the things is be ready. Most of the shows you go to have a 10-second timer. You either sneak to the cage door, start moving towards the cage door, or get ready to move through those ropes. You've only realistically got 50 seconds by rules. There's 10 seconds out, so you've got 50 seconds to work. So one of the things I like to do in a fight is when the bell rings or the horn sounds, I try and meet the athlete. If they're not going towards our corner yet, I'll help move them towards the corner. This way I can speak to him right away. Sit down. I can, hey, great round, Red, or hey, that's a close one. We need this round. One thing I like to do is get him to relax. Kick his legs out a little bit. Stay relaxed. Get his mouth guard out. Before you start feeding him a bunch of water, let the guy breathe. He's just been fighting another dude, all right? Don't get in his grill too much. Stay relaxed. Big thing, pull the mouth guard out. If you have a second corner man, his job should be to reapply the Vaseline. And if need be, work a cut, ice on there. Ice on the neck helps a lot. It's a very hot area. It'll help keep him from overheating. From here, the cool thing about MMA gloves is I can give him the water at his leisure. So instead of having someone force feed you and you're choking, and you let him take the water. Big thing is eye contact. So I want to talk to this athlete, and like I said, know the athlete you're with. You know, some guys need the drill sergeant. Some guys, we got the friend role, older brother role, you name it. Big thing is get 2 points across. Don't try and go, well, you need to do this jab cross hook followed by an uppercut and then step over to the side. We don't have that time. You got to hit a few points. If he's dropping his hands, remember, you got to keep those hands up. Make sure you're blocking. Or if he's not sprawling, you got to hit that sprawl. You don't have time to write a novel in here. Big thing, you got to keep him positive. Even in the toughest moments, start positive, negative, positive. Go, hey, you're hanging tough, but you know what? This fight is close, or you're losing, but I know you can do it. That's the key. The last thing he wants to do is, if he was fighting out here getting beat up, is have his coach come back to the corner and beat him up. The other thing, I don't see enough guys in MMA do this. Know when your fighter's defeated. Everyone's afraid to throw the towel in. Sometimes it's just not your night, and learn that sometimes you got to avoid damage on the athletes. But very important when you work in this corner, eye contact, get him to breathe and interact. Make sure that you're talking back and forth. The biggest mistake I see people do, they get too excited. They're saying too much. You're going to need excitement sometimes, but you got to get your points across. The other thing is the psychological thing. If you see, I love to do this. If you see that your fighter is breaking the other opponent, you know the time hasn't done yet. Red, get up. See, push him out to the middle right away. The dude's over there slumped on his stool going, what the heck? This guy's ready to whip my ass again? No, that's the psychological part of this sport too. So if you can have the fighter up, ready, fresh, but the key is recovery and positive. And again, get a few points across. And make sure that outside the cage you're trying to coach as well. You know, you just can't wait till the rounds. You got to be coaching the whole time. Another point too is working the referees. Now, working the referees is an important part of the fighting. If you see that the cage is being grabbed, let everyone know in the world, hey, cage grab, cage grab. The ref doesn't see everything, but what you try and do is work the referee to try and get the calls to go your way. It is prize fighting, and you want to win the prize, so you got to work the rules the best you can.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach in the corner, on the stool, plus outside the ring, you have to, you can make a big difference. Have your stopwatch ready. If it's a 5-minute round, if it's a 3-minute round, you're timing it. You yell to your fighter, you got 1 minute left, step it up. You can make the difference in a fight sometimes by having a good cornerman. Maybe, on the fly, you're yelling stuff out. Just little things. Don't try to coach him the entire move. He's not going to listen through a cage and figure it out as you're coaching. Basic stuff. You need to go. You need to pass guard. Keep your hands up. Don't get too technical. And plus, when you go into the ring in between rounds, if you got 2 or 3 coaches, know who's talking. Don't have 3 guys yelling at him. Even if it is a point or 2, let's say he's doing bad in the grappling section. We have 2 coaches. Coach, he's doing bad striking. Let the striking coach talk, all right? Know your role. If the grappling's going good, no one, just, you're doing great. Let him do all the talking. So little fine points can make a difference, and you can give him confidence. And don't be afraid to look over at him, too. Look at him. Look how tired he is. Look at the blood. That will get him up, all right? Little things like that. It takes practice as a coach, not only as a fighter. So the more coaching experience you get, maybe you're the 3rd guy, then you move up to assistant coach to head coach. So keep getting in the ring, keep getting used to it.
Definitely for fighters, when the coaches say, hey, can I go corner with the team? Go corner with the team. That's how I came up in this business. I started out working corners for my brothers and my dad's fighters. I started when I've been cornering guys since I was 18 years old. It's 20 years of cornering. So definitely go get any chance, because you learn a lot by fighting once you're in the corner. There's a lot of different things that people don't understand what's going on. And very important is the roles. Like Coach Red said, know your role. Don't force a striking fight when you can win a fight on the ground, and vice versa. Sometimes the one coach wants to outdo the other coach. Let's remember, the athlete in the cage or the ring is the star. We're part of the team. We're the football team. Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams. Sometimes the game is won by different facets of the team.
And finally, Coach brought up before, he's your athlete, but you should care about him. You have to stop the fight. If he's in bad shape, you're looking him in the eyes, he's not there. That guy's a warrior. He's not going to stop. It's your job to be the brains in that situation. And actually, it helps the fighter. It makes him feel confident if he lost that it was the coach who did it. So it's your job to make the gut check call. You don't want to be not caring about the fighter and just, you can do it, throw him back in there to the wolves. When he's done, it's your job to end the fight. Makes the fighter feel better. It's responsible, and the fighter is going to be happier afterwards.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I've coached many athletes, and I have great relationships with all these guys long after they're fighting, and they're healthy, successful people in the game of life. It's sport fighting, and that's why it's called sport. It's not to the death, and you got to make sure you look after your athlete, from training them hard as well. Sometimes things don't go your way and you're going to lose fights. That's the parity of MMA. The fighters these days are so good, anyone can lose at any time.